On the way we go. Go. On the way we go. All the wrist hunters. Don't move. Go. We go. On the way we go. We are on the way at a big drive. Micro movements will be everything.
Devon's center table strength has reached a new heights. He used to give center by directing his arm to the losing side of the table. And now he stonewalls guys like Georgie, Erms, Dennis, and Levin in the center. First, we have to analyze the technique that he utilizes to attack. Instead of positively attacking through muscle contraction, he negatively goes offensive by leaning his body backwards. It also involves the lat drag, taking advantage of his long arm. You don't need gigantic lats to keep your elbow farther back on the pad. If he can do a few pull-ups, he has more than enough strength. Negative muscle motion is known to be stronger than positive contraction. He's kings moving in the center. His pronation and riser are his main weapons. He always has the stronger hand and wrist. He limits their strength by targeting the weakest link in the chain. He chooses his opponents wisely. It's all about your weakest link in the chain, which 99% of the time will end up being one of three things: rise and roll. Devon loads too much in the setup, which gives much advantage to his pronation. When Devon preloads, you load too. Devon will soon put maximum effort to pull you back. Now you need to suddenly turn off the load and even push forward a little. Now guess what happens? Everybody sees that Devon pulls you back like crazy. Devon will pull back, and if you don't squeeze, he's going to move his hand in the grip to a better position and gain height. The ref will put him back to center, but the advantage is already gained. Then you'll grab upwards to level it. Devon's hand and pronation are world-class. I bet he's already near his genetic potential with those strengths. His general arm and shoulder chest strength are his weakness, and we saw that in round 1 and against Kinetic. You can't have holes in your game if you want to beat Levin. Devon had a legit stop at the middle and then again in the king's move. This time around he focused on attaining peak strength and avoiding injury, both of which he accomplished and demonstrated. But that peak strength lasted for a very short time, because he trained it for short bursts, 1 RPM training method. Devon simulates his pronation lift against his opponents in the center. Side pressure seems to be minimal. It's all pronation back pressure. Also, a lot of people seem to miss the fact that back pressure and pronation are extremely connected, and proper pronation is highly dependent on sufficient back pressure. That's why you can pronate more weight by assisting your lifting arm and elbow flexion. You're not helping at the wrist joint, so why is it easier? Because the brachioradialis assists with pronation, and when you actually pronate, you will find that it's almost impossible to not flex your arm at the elbow, especially with any kind of load. It's only with no load or an extremely light load that you can pronate without elbow flexion. So it really doesn't matter how strong your ability to simply turn your wrist over is if you cannot simultaneously flex at the elbow with sufficient force. Since there was no table time with any high-level pro-arm wrestler during his preparation, he didn't train himself to sustain that kind of strength for longer periods. Devon's methods work for him till his weaknesses are exploited. And it's not like the Georgian methods are perfect either. They probably do too much biceps and not enough hand pronation, but Levin was able to show up with no weaknesses in his game, unlike Devon. Devon's training philosophy is due to his numerous health issues and especially dozens of injuries. His training is minimalist and 100% oriented at doing one thing great. This may have changed after he did stem cells, which he says have completely reversed decades of damage, which were the reason behind his minimalist training. Maybe now is the time for him to expand what he trains. Bicep strength is mostly necessary on the losing side of the table, and Devon was certainly strong enough to stop Georgie with his elbow flexion even when he was losing hand control. Losing to Levin again is not good evidence that someone has poor bicep strength.
It's a win
against Dennis. Devon had stronger pronation. Side pressure was even, but because of pronation he was on the offensive. Dinas had stronger back pressure, so Devon couldn't press through it. Devon's back pressure didn't really get tested, so can't compare. He was also far more explosive, which in addition to pronation played a key role in him gaining center and flash pinning in the second round. Side pressure also rapidly diminishes the more extended your arm becomes. If you can maintain back pressure and side pressure dominance, then hand dominance simply becomes less important. They all compensate for each other. For example, if you don't have side pressure, you can twist your body and top roll using your brachioradialis, only his offensive king's move. Devon top rolls like this too. Watch him do it against Levan recently in their friendly practice pull. He goes offensive from the center to get the brachioradialis working instead of the chest and shoulder. If you don't have back pressure, you can put your shoulder forward so that you can apply side pressure in the direction you would usually apply back pressure. If you don't have a good pronator, you can use back pressure and riser to compensate. His career began with hook-high hooker. He used to jump into a hook with his back foot and turn his body into a defensive hook style pulling which utilized endurance. But over the years his elbow became more weaker and surgeries led to him making his outside game a priority. The current rules in place are rather arbitrary. People that mock the king's move don't realize how much strength and balls it takes to put yourself in that position where you might snap your arm completely. Those with the conditioning to attempt it pros should absolutely be allowed to. It leads to longer, more exciting matches for the fans. As for it not looking pretty, that's just your opinion. You can say the same about a lot of techniques in MMA, for example. The fact is, the move extends matches. And the counter? The flop press. Can't get the pin and need to get more behind it? Come further forward until your shoulder crosses center. It makes perfect sense. Now, something that no one is talking about but Devon alludes to, Levan appears to have his shoulder cross center in round 1 while he's pressing. You can't see clearly from the camera angle as he initially presses, but you can see that his shoulder is about 6 inches over center at the moment Devon's humorous angle becomes illegal. The ref actually stopped the match because of Levan's shoulder, but the down ref insists Devon fouled first. I don't believe this to be the case. The correct call would have been to restart the match. Will we see Devon big again? The bigger problem is that Devon destroyed his gut biome with hydrolyzed glyphosate wheat products and high fructose sugars that cause metabolic decay, mitochondrial deterioration, inflammation, and essentially general antibiotics that kill off the gut biome or starve them so that they eat the lining of your intestines,